Citizen detectives, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. You guys know what time it is. It's time to talk about Yellowjackets. This time, for the final time this season, as far as the episode breakdowns go, this is going to be my Season 3, Episode 10 finale called Full Circle Breakdown, Spoiler Breakdown Review. So if you guys haven't seen the episode, again, this is your warning. Make sure you watch it before you watch this. Otherwise, if you don't care about spoilers, feel free to continue watching. But before we dive into the episode, I just want to give a shout out to all of you guys, everyone who has been watching my videos covering Yellowjackets this season, all the new subscribers that I've gotten. Thank you guys so much for joining me and for watching, all the likes, the comments, the interaction that I've had between you guys in the comments. Some of the comments just have really made my day. I can't say thank you enough. I'm still a pretty small YouTube channel, so all the support that you guys have given me just means the world to me. So thank you again, and I hope that you consider staying, but also, if you're new to the channel, subscribing, because I will cover Yellowjackets. Fingers crossed we get seasons 4 and 5. I'll cover those. Hopefully get some more interviews for you guys. I at least do have one more coming in the next week or so. I can't say who it is yet, but just because I want to lock things down for sure. And trust me, it hasn't been for a lack of trying. I've been trying to get some other guests. There's just been, I won't go into details, but just some kind of things on the back end. I'll just kind of leave it at that. But I've definitely been trying. I at least got the one more. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, maybe another one as well. But we'll see what happens. But regardless, just the stuff that I've done, you know, with the breakdowns and things like that. Again, thank you guys so much. And without further ado, because I know I'm blabbing, we'll go ahead and we'll jump into the video. So the episode opens up in the 90s. We see Lottie sleeping, and as she's sleeping, all of a sudden we see the Antler Queen. From there, it cuts to Shauna. She's doing a bed check on Natalie. And as that's going on, we then cut back to Natalie freaking out on Misty about having the transponder, but clearly we see that she doesn't tell the others because Misty's still around today, and I feel like if that was the case, she probably wouldn't be around. But so she doesn't tell her about the others, but at the same time wants nothing to do with Misty either. But the interesting thing is then, as that kind of all that happens, you then see Van nods to Misty, so something's going on. So then after that happens, we have Lottie, she's with the Antler Queen, and if you guys had the captions on watching this episode, it said specifically, adult Lottie says, "I am ready, my will is your will." After that, Lottie screams, and then the teen version of herself sees the adult version dead, but then she wakes up and she says, "Did I miss it?" But then teen Lottie responds to her and says, "You haven't missed it, it's time to meet her." And then after that, we go to adult Lottie. She goes to the place where she died. She sees all the candles, and then she says, "Are you there?" Then we get the intro of the episode. But yeah, definitely curious on your guys' thoughts, kind of what you felt about that whole opening, specifically with the Lottie sequence, what that all meant. So leave your thoughts down below on that. So then after the intro of the episode, in modern day, we see Shauna and Tai. They're driving in the car where Shauna says to Tai, says, "I knew she was a threat," and she's about to go on, but Tai quickly cuts her off and says, "Just don't," and then tells her to pull over the car. After they pull over, Tai gets out, she grabs Van, she's getting ready to bury her, and then she says, "I'm done forgetting Van, I'm gonna remember it all," and then she cuts out her heart and eats it. Now, do you guys think that, I mean, we've already seen some dark stuff from Tai in the seasons that we've had so far to this point, but do you feel like we're going to see an even darker Tai going forward in Season 4 and possibly Season 5 if they get that? Because I kind of feel like Van was keeping the good side of Tai around, and now that Van is gone, I feel like there's no one to really kind of keep that in check. So I feel like we're going to strictly get dark or evil Tai on from this point. So yeah, but I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on that below. After that, then we go to Callie while she's at school, and while she's there, we see Misty approach her and calls her out for drugging her, and then she asks if she got all the answers that she wanted to before she ended up killing Lottie. And so we get confirmation that Callie was the one that killed Lottie. How many of you guys actually got that right? I know I didn't guess that right initially. I thought it was Shauna. I thought it was Tai. I was starting to lean towards Callie, but that wasn't my first guess. So I want to know if there's anybody out there who that was their first guess that actually got Callie. I know we had that other video where some of you guys were leaving your responses, and I believe there were some of you in there that did leave that, but I want to hear if you guys got that right down below. So as they're talking, we find out that it was Callie's photo that was on the phone, and initially Misty thought that it was Shauna that did it, but then she had the alibi that ended up checking out, and as Misty's going on, she explains how then she remembered that mothers and daughters share no DNA, and also apparently homicidal tendencies. So Callie eventually, she ends up admitting that she was the one who killed Lottie, but she tells Misty that it was an accident. Basically what happened is she got the tape, as we saw, early on in the season. She got the tape. She didn't listen to it, though, because she didn't know how to listen to it. So she had it, and then after Lottie got kicked out of the house because Shauna kicked her out, the tape disappeared, and so Callie thought that was Lottie that probably took it, and so she went to go find her at her dad's house where she was staying. And so when she got there, Lottie ends up bringing her down to the stairway with all the candles, and as they're walking, ends up finding out that Lottie does in fact have the tape, and she tells Callie that she will answer any questions that she has. And so Callie asks her, does my mom really love me? And Lottie responds to her by saying that it is growing inside of Callie, and Shauna sees that. She explains how it is the reason why they ate each other, why they hunted each other down, did all those thrilling things, and says how Callie is its child, our child. And so Callie tries to leave, but Lottie grabs her and says, you are the child of that place. It took our baby, but it gave us you. And then she says, you're just like her, but more. And then at that point, Callie, she pushes her down the stairs, kills her. And so we see it wasn't so much, I think, an accident, although I don't know if maybe Callie was kind of possessed by it at that point, and that's what caused it. Maybe that's why it was an accident. She wasn't fully conscious of what was going on. So curious what your guys' kind of thoughts are on that whole situation. And then at that point, she's dead on the ground. Callie goes over, grabs the tape, and leaves. I do have two questions regarding this, though. I think the one thing that... So, granted, where this room was, there probably isn't a lot of people that went down there, but I do find it kind of funny that what if someone just randomly stumbled upon that room and just saw all these candles on the stairway? I'm sure they probably looked at that and was like, what the hell is going on down here? But besides that, I feel like that's probably kind of a nitpick on my part. The other question, though, is do we think, I kind of feel like on my side, that do we think that we're going to see Callie go down a really dark path possibly in Season 4, Season 5? What do you guys think? And after this happens, we see Callie is talking to Jeff kind of at the same time as this was going on. She's explaining what happened, and she's worried that her dad thinks she's just as fucked up as her mom is. But he comforts her and doesn't think that's the case. He's like, I don't think you're like your mom at all, and I apologize for not protecting you from her as well. And so we do have a nice father-daughter moment here. From there, then we jump back into the 90s timeline where we see Van and Misty talking, and Misty asks her if the phone is working. Van explains that she thinks it is, but it also sounds kind of dead, so the confidence isn't super high there. Then after this, we hear Akilah scream. Everyone goes over there, and we see all the animals are dead, just like what happened in her vision. And Akilah says, how could it do this to us? And Lottie responds to her by saying that it's unhappy with us. We have to prove our faithfulness to it. Again, we have to have another hunt. And Shauna jumps in saying, I think this is a great idea, but Nat isn't really having any of this. She says, nope, I want nothing to do with this, and is getting ready to walk off. But Shauna stops her and then looks around and asks if anyone else has any other objections. And they're going to draw cards in the morning. Then we go to Tai and Van having a conversation about how this time, playing this game, they can't leave it to chance. And so Tai wants them to rig the game so then that way they can determine who's going to get the Red Queen. But Van isn't exactly too excited about that, because that means that she has to make the decision of who's going to die, and these people are her teammates, or their teammates, but Tai says not all of them are, and so basically they want to give the Red Queen to Hannah. Quickly, we jump into the modern day where we see that Shauna comes home, and when she comes home, she finds out that Callie and Jeff are gone, and then we find out that Callie's phone has been disconnected. Then after that, we go back into the 90s timeline. Shauna wakes up, goes outside, and sees that it snowed quite a bit, and we are now having the drawing again, once again with the card game. And as the card game gets going, you can tell that Shauna knows that there's something weird going on, and so as they're taking all the different cards, Shauna, she ends up putting herself in a different position, which screws up Tai's and Van's whole plan to have this thing rigged the way that they wanted it to. And so instead of Hannah drawing the Queen of Hearts, it ends up being Mari instead. So Shauna did that on purpose. She screwed Mari over. She puts Jackie's necklace on her and then starts counting as Mari starts running. As Mari is starting to run, Shauna's laughing at her, and Mari responds and says, you deserve everything that is going to be coming to you, and I agree 100% with you on this, Mari. And then right after that, we see everyone, they're starting to put on their costumes, getting ready to go on the hunt. We see Travis comes over to Shauna, tries to stop her and says, "Don't you ever wonder whose reality we're in?" He mentions Javi, he mentions Jackie. And I just thought this comment was really interesting because earlier on in the season, I can't remember this specific episode off the top of my head, but it was the one where Mari is talking to Coach Ben and she mentions another reality. So having that brought up again, what do you guys kind of think of that whole thing there? So then we go to modern day where we have Misty and she's cleaning out Caligula's cage when Shauna shows up. And the first thing that Misty says to her is, she says, "You should know that I have a video monitoring this whole house, basically every inch of it, and it is being sent to a remote location," which is super smart because you never know what's going to happen with Shauna. So Shauna asks Misty, she says, "What did you do to my family? Because they left a hotel and I went home, they're not at home, they cleaned everything out, and the phone's disconnected." And Misty tells her how Callie, she told her about what happened, that she killed Lottie. She confessed to it, and so Misty told her to talk to her father, and so clearly that's what happened. And then at that point, Misty says to leave, and if you try anything crazy, I have no problem going to the police and getting a restraining order on you. After that, we go back into the 90s timeline where we see Tai and Shauna. They come to a part where I believe there's like 2 sets of footprints, and so Tai says that they should split up, but Shauna, she thinks something weird is going on, and she says, no, we should stick together. And then at that point, we see Mari as she's trying to escape. We see her, she gets taken off her clothes to kind of leave those behind, and we see the infamous white gown that Pit Girl has. Then we go back to Tai and Shauna. Shauna thinks that Tai is trying to help Mari get away and calls her out for messing with the draw, but then at that point, Tai's kind of had enough and tells her to back down, and they kind of have a face-off between the two of them, and you can see that Shauna is actually intimidated for the first time in a while now. And then right after that, we see Nat. She goes to the tree where the phone is located. She gets it and leaves, but we see that someone's following her. Then we go back to Tai and Shauna again. All of a sudden, we see Jen show up, and she says that something's happened to Van, and so she needs Tai to come help her, but Shauna doesn't believe this. Eventually, they convince her because Tai is going to go anyways, and so they all end up going there. And then we see the person that was following Natalie was Hannah, and she confronts her, and Hannah says that I'm on your side, but Natalie doesn't believe her. So then Hannah ends up explaining to Nat that she had to kill Cody because if she didn't kill Cody, Shauna would have ended up killing both of them, which I do agree with that, and that she's just trying to survive and get out of here. So after that, we see Akila. She goes into the cave, and as she goes in there, we hear Lottie, and she says, I know it must have hurt to do what you did. And so I was a little confused by this moment. So did she kill the animals on purpose? I don't know if I just missed it while watching the episode, but I was a little confused by this moment. So if one of you guys kind of explain that sequence to me, that would be great. And then at that point, Akila, she calls out Lottie and says, you made me think that I could see things. I think that this is all your fault. But then Lottie says that this place is in us now. Then we go back to Mari, who's running through the woods, and as she's running, she ends up falling and cutting her foot, and so she's starting to leave a trail of blood, which Shauna sees that, and so she's able to start tracking her better. But we do realize that Jen, she was leading the others astray because she was trying to help Mari escape because she considers her a friend. So Shauna, she's chasing Mari, and as she's chasing her, all of a sudden, she just gets laid out by someone. We end up finding out that it's Melissa. But then we cut back to Mari. She sees Lottie. She's running away from her. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, the snow gives way and she falls into the pit. And we have Pit Girl. So who got that one right? I know that a lot of people, there has been a ton of guesses on that. Mari was kind of the OG, it seemed like. But I know Hannah was brought up recently. I know Jen was brought up at one point. So let me know if you called Mari right down below in the comments. Right after that, we go back to Melissa and Shauna. And we find out that it's Melissa because Shauna pulls off her mask. We hear the horn sound. And so Shauna says that it's over. But Melissa responds and says, not for me, it isn't. And she's choking her. She is about to kill Shauna, and then at the very last second she stops, and then Shauna looks at her and gets up and says, I knew you were going to be turned out to be boring. And right after that, we get another one of the scenes from the pilot where we see Van. She's looking over the pit with the pink sneakers. From there, then we go into the modern day where we see Tai. She's at dinner with someone, and she's explaining how we promised to protect each other as long as we all kept each other's secrets. But then she goes on to say how Shauna has been so careless, how she murdered Adam, how she mutilated her ex, and she's the reason that both Nat and Van are dead now. And then she goes on to say, if we keep letting this happen, Shauna's going to be the last one standing. Do you want that to be the case? And then we see the person that she's talking to is Misty. Misty says no. And so it looks like we're going to maybe get a little Tai and Misty team up. I don't know how that's going to work out moving forward, just where I think we're going to see a lot darker version of Tai going forward in season 4, season 5. But it looks like that's going to be the case. But then we also see Walter is outside. He's watching as this whole situation is playing out too. So what do you guys think Walter's whole role in this thing is? I know we've had some discussion in the comments, but do you think that he is just kind of a red herring, or do you think that he is going to end up playing a bigger role in this by the time that the show's done? We then go back into the 90s timeline where we see Van. She goes over to Tai and says that it was Mari, she's dead, and that it's all their fault. And then you see, just like in the pilot, you see the body get dragged out, although this time we get to see that it's Mari's face. We see her get dragged out, hoisted up, and drained of blood, and Natalie is the one that has to do it. And so now, especially with this season, I'm really starting to see why Natalie was so fucked up when we see her in season 1, specifically because of all the stuff that she had to do to her teammates, her coach, etc. Then we jump back into the modern day again, where we see Shauna. She's in the kitchen, where all of a sudden she gets a text from Jeff saying that they're safe, but that she needs to stop calling them because they need space. And then it's at this point she notices that there's a note under the refrigerator, and we end up finding out that it's the note from Melissa that we thought maybe Callie had taken or something, but it was just had fallen underneath the fridge. And so she's reading it, and I wasn't able to catch all of it in there. I wasn't able to get like a freeze frame, but I did see that basically Melissa was saying that she apologizes for making them think that she was all dead. But if you guys, I saw something about forgiving yourself in there as well, but if you guys caught anything else that I missed, leave it down below in the comments, because I'd be interested to see the rest of it as well. Then right after that, Shauna ends up tearing up the note. She throws it down into the drain, the shredder, and then she breaks down shortly after. Then she starts writing her own note, and she's reflecting back saying, looking back, I think we didn't want to remember what we did out there because deep down we were all having so much fun. And I don't know, Shauna, I know you might have been having fun, but I don't think everybody was having fun out there. Then as we're starting to wrap up the episode, we go back into the 90s timeline, and we get confirmation that Shauna was the Antler Queen that we see in the premiere episode when they're all sitting by the fireside as they're eating Mari, and then we see that it's Mari's hair that is on the Antler Queen. As all of a sudden we get a voiceover of Shauna saying, I was a warrior back then, it's time to take that back. And so we've already seen Shauna seen her do some fucked up shit, but I feel like with a line like that, we're just gonna see that get even worse in season 4, season 5. And as the episode is wrapping up, we see they're going back to the camp, and as they get back there, Shauna confronts Natalie, who she thinks is Natalie, but then ends up finding out that it's actually Hannah. And so Shauna's freaking out. She's like, where the hell is Natalie? And then we get that other scene again from the pilot where we see Misty with her cracked glasses, putting them on, and she's smiling at the camera. And then we see Natalie. She's escaped. She's headed to like the top of a mountain, this clearing way, and she's trying to use the phone. And eventually, just as the episode wraps up, we hear someone answers the phone and says, I can hear you. And so they're going to be saved. I know a lot of people, we were wondering if we were going to see that at the end of the season. I didn't think so, especially if they were going to try and make this go season 4, season 5. I didn't think that we were going to see the rescue by the end of the season, but it is really cool that we finally get confirmation that someone is going to probably come and rescue them then at some point in season 4. And so, yeah, what a crazy finale. We got some answers that we've been wondering for a while now. So I'm curious, what you guys think of this finale. How does it stack up for season 2 and season 1 as far as the finales go? But I also want to hear your guys' ranking as far as just like the seasons overall. Where does season 3 rank for you amongst seasons 1, 2, and 3? So let me know down below in the comments. There's a lot to discuss here. Again, just thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Every comment, like, share, all the little things that you guys do to help, promote, engage the video. I love having these conversations back and forth with you guys. I try to get to all of them. If I ever miss them, it's not on purpose. I really try to respond to every single one because you guys take the time out of your day to do that. So I try to return the favor. So if I ever miss it, I apologize. That wasn't my intention. But again, I hope that you guys, if you enjoyed the Yellowjackets content, hopefully you guys stick around until we have season 4, seasons 5. I do cover other content on here. I do movie reviews. I know I haven't been doing quite as much of that because I've been doing the Yellowjacket stuff, but I do movie reviews. I do interviews with other actors from shows, movies, etc. I'm going to be talking about some of my memorabilia collection that I have on here. So there's a lot of different types of videos, so hopefully you guys will find some of that interesting. If there is anything that you would guys maybe love to see me talk about or do videos on here, let me know. I know coming up, I'm about to hit 3,500 subscribers, but I'm also going to be closing in on 1 million views on the channel overall, and so I do want to do something special for that. So if there's any kind of videos, I've never done a Q&A or anything about myself, the channel or anything, so I don't know if that's something that you'd be interested in, but let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, again, thank you guys so much. It's been a blast talking to you guys about Yellowjackets. Keep an eye out for the one more interview I got, and I will see you guys soon. Buzz, buzz.